Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am in beautiful, calm, safe, peaceful New York City. Happy to be bringing you yet another episode of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast. First of all, guys, regarding last week's episode, I understand the sound quality was maybe not quite what we're accustomed to. I want you guys to understand when I'm traveling, as I was last week in sunny Tucson, Arizona, I don't have my normal recording equipment with me ready to record at the sound quality level that we're accustomed to. So I have to do my best, and I hope that you guys were able to enjoy that episode just the same. I did have a lot of fun in Arizona. I went to a lot of different places: Tucson, Marana, Phoenix, Scottsdale. I really enjoyed being in the sun early in March when New York is still kind of like cold and rainy and nobody got the memo that it's almost springtime here. So yeah, it was great out there. And I think I even got a little bit of color, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, I did play some poker. I was mostly out there for comedy, but I stopped by a place in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area called Talking Stick Resort. And I think it's a very, very nice poker room. It feels spacious. The tables don't feel too close together. They could use a few more people helping out, serving drinks and food and stuff like that. But a very minor complaint. Mostly I thought the dealers were pretty good. The players were as friendly as can be. It was really nice. I enjoyed my visit to the Talking Stick Resort, and I'm sure that I will go there again on my next trip to the Scottsdale, Phoenix, greater metropolitan area. I believe it's on an Indian reservation. Not sure exactly what tribe, maybe Maricopa, I think is a word I saw a few times. But yeah, it's a very nice property, very clean. And yeah, just a lot of really nice people. There was one lady in particular. I didn't get to play any tournaments, although they did have a big series they were gearing up for and running satellites for, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to stay long enough to play in any of the tournaments. I did play in a cash game against a lady who was just as funny as could be. She kept getting up and walking around. She was probably 65 years of age, and every time she had anything at all, if you bet any amount, if she had a pair, she would just say, well, I have to call, and put the chips in. No matter how much you bet, as long as she had at least one pair, she would shrug and say, I have to call. And I actually played with this lady on two different occasions. It seems like she spends a lot of time in this casino. And just that shrug with the I have to call is so much fun. She did actually win the first time I played with her. She had to call, and she actually got there, made a set or something. But yeah, it was a fun table. I was playing, I think, 2-3 no limit Hold'em with a maximum buy-in of $500. They didn't really have any big games running, and that's okay with me. Sometimes it's fun to just relax and play some small stakes. And anyway, the game was much bigger than it sounds. Despite having a $3 big blind, there were several pots of over $1,000. So you're playing four-figure pots in a 2-3 game. It's probably a pretty good game. But hey, she has to call. So she has no choice, guys. She has to. Anyway, we're going to move on today. I want to talk about a hand that I introduced last week from an online poker tournament. This was a $109 mystery bounty accumulator where the mystery bounties don't kick in until day 2. But no matter how many times you play, you can keep accumulating more and more chips for that big day 2. And we did talk about this hand last week, but I want to go over it again. And this time I want to use GTO Wizard. GTO Wizard is my favorite online tool for improving my poker game. You can plug in hands that you already played or maybe hands that you watched on TV, and the solver will tell you what a perfect GTO Wizard would do in your shoes. And you can compare notes with the wizard and look for patterns in your game. Like maybe I bluff too often in this spot, or maybe I bet too small in that spot. And you can customize it. How many big blinds do you have? What kind of tournament is it? Are we playing a PKO or a mystery bounty? What are the ICM implications, if any? And it's really easy to use, even for somebody like me who is not tech savvy. So let's see what the solver has to say about the way I played this hand in this $109 mystery bounty accumulator thingy online. The blinds were 300, 600, 80. That's 80 ante per player. Only 6 players at my table. Only 12 players in the tournament so far. Late registration still open. It was kind of early in the month. Day 2 isn't until the end of the month. These flights tend to get more participants a little bit later on in the month. One fold, and then the player in second position opens to 1,200 off of a stack of about 28,000. So about 46 big blinds in his stack. And we are in the big blind. The table is 6-handed. We're in the big blind with the ace of spades, 8 of diamonds, and I decided to call with ace-8 offsuit. I remember last week saying that I thought you could maybe 3-bet this hand sometimes, and that I really didn't even mind folding. But the solver actually says this hand is a pure call. We never want to 3-bet or fold with ace-8 offsuit in this exact situation. So solver likes my play, and there's 3,200 in the middle. And the flop comes Jack of spades, 7 of hearts, 4 of hearts. And the villain in this hand had King 10, you may recall. And I checked to him, and he decided to check behind. So let's check that check with GTO Wizard. And the solver says I should always check to the razor, obviously, on the flop. But villain should be betting King 10 off 94% of the time. And it's a very mixed strategy, lots of different sizes, mostly in the 1/5 to 1/3 range, but occasionally going bigger than that. It's just a mixed strategy, but there's not a lot of checking going on. So already we can deduct points from my opponent for checking back and not c-betting the Jack 7-4 with 2 hearts board. So we both checked, and now there's still 3,200 in the middle. When the turn came, the 5 of clubs. Action on me. I decided to check again. I thought we could certainly bluff here. We do block the nuts after all, and we pick up a gut shot straight draw with that 8 of diamonds in my hand. I had my own reasons. I had a very passive opponent, and I felt like I shouldn't really worry about him bluffing me too much. So I checked again. Now let's check. GTO Wizard says we should be checking the ace-8 offsuit in this spot about 33% of the time. And the rest of the time, we should be betting. And once again, it's all different sizes, kind of all over the map, sizing-wise. And then villain, remember, with King 10, so he's got no pair and no draw, just 1 live overcard at best. And he's allowed to check again 27% of the time. Otherwise, he bets, again, all different sizes. In real life, my opponent did check behind, and we went to the river, which was the 7 of diamonds, which paired the board. And I checked one more time, and now finally villain couldn't resist anymore. He finally bet his King 10 here on the river, putting in 2,400, so a large sizing of about 3/4 pot. And then I called and beat King 10 with my ace high. So the wizard always checks one more time to the razor here, and villain does bet 2/3 of the pot anyway, 92% of the time. So I think we have to say this play by my opponent is GTO Wizard approved. Good job, villain. I'm actually supposed to be folding ace-8 offsuit 90% of the time. And get this, guys, the other 10%, I'm supposed to go all in. I guess that's the value of having that 8 and blocking the straight. And maybe I'm also I have more 7X in my range. I certainly have 8-7, which I block, and ace 7, which I also block. So maybe villain doesn't have as many 7s as I do, which is why I'm allowed to shove as a bluff sometimes with ace high here. I mean, to me, that was the biggest wow of my solver work on this hand. I don't think it would ever occur to me to shove with ace 8 offsuit in this spot, especially as I was playing the hand in real life. I just felt like my opponent would have a lot of king X and that my ace high would be good a lot. So what's the point in shoving? I'm still not sure. Maybe you guys can give me some insight. I'm sure it has something to do with having an 8 in my hand at all. But yeah, I found this fascinating, guys. I was very, very surprised to see that this is never ever a call. So what is the range for calling? Well, we do have quite a few calls. We actually call globally about 28% of the time. And within that range that calls, there's quite a bit of ace 5 and ace 6 suited or offsuit. Ace 10 offsuit almost always calls, which is just ace high, pretty much what I have. Ace 9 offsuit calls a decent amount, about 38% of the time as part of a mixed strategy. So I guess I wasn't that far off. I mean, there are a lot of ace highs in the overall calling range. But yeah, this particular hand, I'm either supposed to mostly fold and sometimes just shove. So yeah, live and learn. And that's what's fun about playing with GTO Wizard. And if you guys want to give it a try, I have a great deal for you. It's called an affiliate link. If you use our affiliate link, you guys can get 24 hours free access to all of GTO Wizard's features. Give it a try. And then when you're ready to purchase, just because you used that affiliate link, and you will save 10% off your first purchase. And that link is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. And you can also find it in the description of this very podcast. All right, let's move on, guys. I want to continue our review of the 2024 World Series of Poker Main Event. Most of you know the schedule is out for this summer, and around this time of year, I start getting WSOP fever. I simply can't wait to get to Vegas. In 2 short months, I'll be touching down. In late May, I will be in Sin City for the duration of this year's WSOP. I simply can't wait for the action to kick off. Now, this table that they featured, they have Daniel Negreanu there and not much else. A bunch of guys that I wasn't familiar with, and Kid Poker, who recently announced he'll be playing the seniors event this year, which is interesting. The blinds were 1,500 and 3,000 with a 3,000 big blind ante. This is kind of middle of day 3, so really nowhere near the money. With the record field and everything, they actually didn't reach the money until day 4. And so let's start the action. Several folds to the hijack, whose name is Boris Bershadsky. And Boris Bershadsky is obviously from Ohio. He really is. He raises to 7,000 off of a stack of 137,000. I don't want to tell you guys just yet what Boris has, because we are going to play the button. So the cutoff folds, and now we are going to play this hand from the perspective of a young Hungarian player by the name of Adam Vincefi. And Adam has the ace-king offsuit. He's got ace of hearts, king of spades, and his stack is 255K. Remember, the blinds are 1,500 and 3,000. So we are playing Boris's stack, and he's got just about 45 big blinds. So Adam, in position with ace-king offsuit, facing a raise from the hijack. What would you like to do if you were playing day 3 of the main event and you picked up this premium holding? Well, I would certainly want a 3-bet, and that's what Adam does as well, but he only makes it 17K, and I'm not really sure about this sizing. I think that I would much rather see him make it 21, 22, maybe even 25,000 with the ace king and then call off if Boris happens to shove. I'll put in half my stack at this point in the main event with ace king. That's how strong ace king actually is. I think it seems like it's a bit small to just make it 17K. I'm not really sure if Adam is trying to induce a 4-bet or if he wants to be able to get away from ace king and maybe just keep the pot a little bit smaller, have a bit more playability post-flop. But I just think it's great to take down this pot pre-flop, and this raise size is not really going to get it done very often, and it doesn't get it done here. So we've got ace king in position in a pot that is now bloated, but not really bloated quite enough to my liking. Anyway, there's 41,500 in the middle, and our original raiser, Boris from Ohio, has only 120,000 left, so he's in that sweet spot of the SPR just below 3. And so if I were Adam, I would be looking to flop an ace or a king and try to get all in with this guy, whatever he has. Instead, the flop comes queen of spades, jack of spades, 4 of clubs. So queen, jack, 4 with 2 spades, hero with the ace of hearts, king of spades. So we've got a gut shot and 2 overs plus a backdoor king high flush draw. Boris checks, and I think Adam should be betting. I mean, I certainly want to bet. I would probably put in about 15,000, so just above 1/3 of the pot. Maybe it's okay to down bet even lower. Maybe 10,000 would be just under a quarter pot. So yeah, I think we do need to bet this flop. I think much of Boris's range should be hands like pocket 8s, pocket 7s, and we should be able to eventually get them to fold. My plan would be to bet here, and then like if we pick up a spade, obviously on the turn, or an ace, king, or 10, we can bet again and probably get him to lay down pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, all those hands. That would be my target. And remember, guys, and this is key, all of those medium pairs have us beat right now. It might feel like we flopped really good with ace king, but at the moment we still just have ace high. So taking it down here on the flop with a small bet is a great outcome for Adam. He should not hesitate to fire. The only thing that might hurt a little bit is if we get check raised, because obviously we would be folding ace king to a check raise here. But much of Boris's check raising range is going to have us absolutely crushed. We're talking pocket jacks, pocket queens. Yes, you will see that in the main event where people stop raising. They just don't want to put in that 4-bet with pocket jacks or pocket queens. Even though they start the hand with only 45 big blinds, they're really not trying to get all in with those hands. They're afraid of losing on day 3. So if we get check raised here, that's probably what we're up against. I don't even know if Boris would check raise with a flush draw or king 10. And anyway, we block both of them, so it's less likely he has those bluffing hands anyway. So yeah, let's put in a bet and end this hand right now. Instead, Adam decides to check behind. I'm not a fan of his decision for all the reasons I just stated. And now there's still 41-5 in the middle, and the turn comes the 5 of clubs. So our board is now queen of spades, jack of spades, 4 of clubs, 5 of clubs, 2 spades and 2 clubs, queen, jack, 4-5, hero with the ace of hearts, king of spades, and Boris checks again, and this time Adam puts in 22,000, about half the pot. So let's talk about this bet here. I'm not crazy about this bet. If we do decide to check the flop, I think that it's very hard to get a better hand to fold now, as I think Boris would now call at least some of the time with a hand like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, those type of hands, pocket 10s, maybe like an ace tray of clubs, which now has a gut shot, straight flush draw, is probably going to at least call in this situation. So there are more draws to worry about, fewer hands that we can actually get to lay down, and a decent chance that ace king is still good, given that Boris has checked to us twice. But still, I'm not comfortable betting here. I much rather would have bet the flop and then check back on this card on the turn. But as played, if I checked this flop and this turn came off, I want to check behind. If I did bet, I would probably bet smaller with the intention of bombing it on the river when I miss, especially if the river is a spade. I think that's a great spot for us to put out a healthy bet and really put our opponent to the test on a spade river. But yeah, I just think if we're going to bet, we should have done that on the flop. This 5 of clubs doesn't really appeal to me as a turn card that I want to fire on. So I would have bet the flop and probably check this card. But if I had to check the flop, I think I have to check this card and just try to make something on the end. Instead, we bet half the pot, and now villain calls. And so heading to the river, there's 85,500 in the middle, and Boris just has about 98K remaining in his stack. And the river comes the 10 of spades, completing the flush, and more importantly, completing Broadway for Adam. And now, of course, Boris checks one more time, and Adam decides, obviously, to bet his straight. What sizing should we go for? I mean, guys, we put in half the pot on the turn, and villain called. So I think we should go for value. Maybe he's got a queen. A hand like ace-queen makes a lot of sense. And I think we should put in a healthy bet. The problem is he's only got about 98,000 left in his stack, and I don't think we can get it all. So I usually like to try to put in about half. So here I would go maybe 40 or 50K, because that's how much he's got left. And so he'll say, well, if I call and I lose, I still have these chips remaining. You don't want to get too chunky on this. You don't want to lose the guy. So yeah, I guess I would bet 45. That sounds about right. And leave him with another 53K behind after he calls. I think most players, if they have a queen, they might just have to look me up for that amount. Adam bet 57,000, so kind of the same idea. It's a little too big for my taste, into the 85,000 pot. And Boris, well, guys, he's got the ace of clubs, jack of hearts, so he's just got second pair on this board, and he lets it go. So, couple questions. Should Boris maybe bet the turn when the flop goes check, check, and then the turn is the 5 of clubs? You know, does Boris keep giving away free cards, or does he ever want to try to get some value or protection for his pair of jacks? So that's certainly one question I would like to have answered next week with the help of GTO Wizard. Also, I want to mention, when this hand was over and Boris folded, almost immediately Daniel told the camera, Daniel Negreanu that is, told the camera, whoever is watching, if you're a friend of mine, I want to know what that hand was. Please text me. And this is okay. Obviously, they play on a 30-minute delay, but I just think we probably shouldn't be making those kind of comments, especially after the solver scandals that happened last year at the main event final table. Maybe we just shouldn't talk to the people who are watching on our behalf while we are playing on a featured table on Poker Go. And that'll do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you subscribe on whatever podcatcher you happen to be using right now. Also, take a moment and give us a 5-star rating, a nice review. That really does help us get more eyeballs on this podcast, on the algorithm that controls our world. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas Plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart.